Well, obviously, it's a big day in college football for parents, their athletes, and college football in general. When you think about recruiting, the signing date's kind of interesting. I've been involved in a lot of drafts, 20 years of drafting players. This is a unique format for me. These players get to pick you. I generally pick players. It's reversed. But it's become a day of a spectacular event for a lot of fans, especially fans that follow ASU or just follow football, period. Long process in this. We basically came in late, but I thought our staff, along with Donnie's help and so many other people at this university, allowed us to pick some players that represent our DNA. When I first took this job, I said we will define our DNA maybe a little bit different than it's been in the past. With that being said, I think we fit a lot of needs, especially in a short period of time. When we get a year under our belt, I think we'll be much better, and we'll have more time. But with the limited amount of time we had, we really upgraded our roster, and it started with our offensive line. Thought we did a fabulous job of really identifying guys and identifying the look of what we want to look like. That's very important. And the skill set of a player, whether he was on offense or defense, and it was basically done position-specific, what that DNA looked like, and did it match our philosophy on how we wanted to play offense, defense, as well as special teams. And I thought we picked up a number of players in this class that are going to be Sun Devils that will help us tremendously. Donnie's kind of been the lead guy with this. Our coaching staff, I have a lot of guys that have been coaching college football for a long time. I leaned on those guys for their perspective, but I thought collectively as a group, we did a nice job of really identifying players, and fortunate enough that these players wanted to attend this university.
First, I think that we bettered our football team. I think we did a lot of great things in December, and I think we accelerated that and did it here in February. So I'm very proud of, number one, our staff. Our staff has been outstanding on the road the last 3 weeks, visiting schools, visiting homes, going into those parents' homes and letting those parents know that they're going to take care of their sons. So that's very important to note. Currently, in this class, we signed 21 guys, and we have a 22nd that is committed. And you guys have probably seen it, but we haven't received his letter of intent yet, so we can't comment on him. But once that's done, we'll be at 22, which we're very excited about.
We're good. We got it.
Is it official? Oh, well, now we got 22, so we were waiting on that. It's been a great day in the war room with our staff. I think one of the things that we addressed that there's been much concern on is the state of California. We've signed 13 guys out of the state of California, and I think that's a huge statement to what Coach Edwards and the staff has brought to the table here, and to get us back to where we need to be in California. We signed 5 from the state of Texas, signed 2 from the state of Arizona, 1 from Colorado, and 1 from the state of Louisiana. So I think we addressed our needs in our areas, so that's very important to us. In December, we signed 11 guys, and in February, we signed 11. And, just going to talk a little bit about the player rankings. If you look at the 24/7 rankings and such, we signed 1 5-star offensive lineman. We signed 6 4-stars and 15 3-stars. So I think we bettered ourselves as a football team. Position-wise, we signed 4 running backs. We lost 2 great ones, and Coach Simon's room got a little more thicker, and I think that there's going to be some great competition in that room that's going to help them out. We signed a very, very fast wide receiver, and that just came across the board about an hour ago that we've been working on. Signed 4 offensive linemen, expect maybe to sign 1 more in the next couple weeks. Signed 2 defensive linemen / defensive ends, 5 linebackers, which we needed to address. We lost our 2 starting linebackers last year. We signed 5 defensive backs, and we feel that that was a deficiency that we've had the last couple of years. I think we've addressed, so that's been great. And we signed 1 athlete that may play on either side of the ball and as a returner. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our commitments. Our first and one of the big names we got is Casey Tucker, a 5-star kid out of Hamilton High School. Was a Pac-12 graduate from another Pac-12 institution. 6'5", 315 pounds, has played over 25 games for another Pac-12 school. Very excited about him. Started 22 of those games and played in the Rose Bowl. So he's a big-time player for us that we look forward to coming in immediately and shoring up our offensive line. Another offensive lineman, a 3-star prospect out of Fort Collins, Colorado, Rocky Mountain High School. Spencer Lovell, a big 6'7", 303-pounder. He's a road grader. He's a guy that's going to develop as an offensive lineman in his pass pro, but we feel what he does running the football, and Coach Herm has made an emphasis that we're going to run the football. And Coach Christensen's going to have a big-time either guard or tackle out of that young man that's going to be able to pave the way for our running backs. Very excited about him. He's a kid who's an all-state player in Colorado, one of the top 10 players in Colorado, so excited to have him. 4-star prospect out of Norco High School in California, Jarrett Bell, 6'5", 295 pounds, big-time weight room guy, fully developed for a high school kid. We think that has a chance right away to come in and compete for a starting spot. He's a warrior in the weight room, tremendous work ethic. He takes care of his body. He's one of those guys that eats right and does the right things for an offensive lineman. And his high school team, rushed for over 275 yards a game, so he paved the way for those guys. He's rated the number 21 offensive guard prospect in the country, so he's a big-time player for us. One of the fastest receivers on the board, wide receiver Jordan Porter out of Etiwanda High School in Rancho Cucamonga, California, 6'2", 180 pounds. And most of these guys had tons of offers, and we can't mention those offers. But we went to the wire with this young man. He's a guy that can take the top off. He's a 10-600 guy, runs track. We expect him to come in and give us help, stretching the field vertically for Coach Fisher and the wide receivers. Our next prospect is an athlete, Brandon Ayuk. He's a 6'1", 195-pound junior college transfer out of Sierra College in California, and he prepped at McQueen High School in Reno, Nevada. He's a highly productive player. He's one of those guys that he's a great punt returner and kick returner. And our history from punt returns last year, we need to improve that area, and we think this young man is going to come in and compete for that spot. He's a first-team All-American as an all-purpose athlete at the junior college level. He was a first-team All-American as a wide receiver, the number 2 wide receiver JUCO prospect in the country. Coach Edwards has talked to him about possibly playing defense, but we brought him in basically as an athlete, as a returner. He may play some defense as well, and we may see him on the field as an offensive player, but we mainly recruited him as a defensive player. Another 3-star prospect out of City College of San Francisco, Isaiah Floyd, 5'7", 185 pounds. Unbelievable athlete. He's going to also be a returner. You're going to see a vast improvement in our special teams from a returning standpoint. Coach Slocum has some tools to work with this year. It's going to, give our offense better field position, which in turn helps our defense. So I think Isaiah is one of those dynamic players. He broke O.J. Simpson's record there at City College of San Francisco with 1,797 yards rushing and 21 touchdowns on 231 carries. The kid is a dynamic player, as you'll see, very, very quick, one of the quickest kids on the board. Moving on to the defensive side of the ball. 4-star prospect, defensive lineman Jermaine Lowley. 6'2", 270 pounds out of Long Beach Poly in Long Beach, California. His high school coach was Antonio Pierce, who's now our linebacker coach. Very talented player. Number 16th ranked strong side defensive end in the country. Finished with 80 tackles, 33 for loss, 11.5 sacks. He's very twitchy for an interior lineman. We expect this kid to come in and be a big-time player for the Sun Devils. 4-star prospect, just got his letter of intent in out of Junipero Serra in Gardena, California. Merlin Robertson, 6'3", 235-pound linebacker. This kid is an immediate impact guy. Was also chosen as a team captain for the Under Armour All-American game, as chosen by his peers. So that's a big deal. He's very excited to be here. Number 8 outside linebacker prospect in the country. Number 11 in the country by rivals, and number 5 by ESPN. He's a big-time player, and we just got his letter, and so we're very excited about announcing him. Number 3-star prospect, Darian Butler. Darian Butler's out of Narbonne High School out of Harbor City, California. 5'11", 232-pound linebacker. His team won a state championship. He's a sideline-to-sideline guy, has a high motor, built very well as a linebacker, very compact. Rated the 55th best linebacker in the country. As a senior, recorded 150 tackles, 33 of those for losses. He's a very athletic linebacker that we've improved that side of the ball immensely in the linebackers. 4-star prospect, Ashari Crosswell from Long Beach Poly, 6 foot, 190 pounds, very athletic, gifted defensive back. Also could be a returner. Every time he touches the ball as an offensive player, he scored. Antonio Pierce was his coach. He's one of those guys that he kept on defense to help him win more games, but he said, I should have gave him the ball more offensively and as a returner, because every time he touched it, he went to the house. The number 10 safety prospect in the country, big-time player, ball skills. He covers the whole field. He can play a down safety, he can play a high safety, can do a lot of different things, very versatile. 3-star prospect Cam Phillips out of Houston, Texas, Clear Lake High School, 6'1", 170 pounds. Cam's one of those guys that could be a safety, could be a corner, very long. A kid that has very talented, very tough, and plays a lot of intensity. He excels in zone coverage because of his range and high football IQ. He has outstanding instincts when the ball is in the air. So he's another guy we added in the back end. He's one of those guys that was rated the 111th safety in the country, and recorded 82 tackles, 11 pass deflections, and interception his senior season. That's the guys we signed here in February. Very proud of what our staff has done. Coach Edwards was instrumental in what we did on the road, going into those homes and those parents trusting what his vision is of this program, and we're we're excited. I'm just so daggone excited. We made our football team better. Can't wait to get on the field in March and see our guys on the field. And we get these kids here in June, get them in the weight room, and get them on the field in August, and get ready to play game 1 against San Diego State or UTSA.
We're as a staff, we're really excited about the kids we signed, like Donnie said. For the short period of time that we actually were all together, we identified, and we did a great job. And with Coach Edwards' model here, we got to evaluate all these kids together. So everybody on the staff was on the same page with what we wanted, who we were trying to identify, and who we went after. And the commitments that we got, we've had these commitments for a while. We've known about these kids, and it was a good deal to just keep it in the background and not let everybody know who we're recruiting so they don't try and come in on them late. A lot of those kids that signed today had multiple offers over the last couple days trying to fill spots that they missed, and we were able to hang on to them. I think they after coming on campus, and this new building we have gives us the wow factor. If we can evaluate right, we've got the potential to be really, really special. Now, the neat thing about these kids is not one of them's played a single down of college football. They've got a whole lot of potential. And you know when your signing class is really good after about 2 years. Now, hopefully there's a few kids that can come in here and have an impact, but we don't count on any of those kids to make an impact. If you do, you're in trouble. So we're excited to get them here on campus, let the D recruiting part start, because those kids now are part of us. They're Sun Devils, so we're excited to have them.
Questions for the panel?
The expectations seemed high, extremely high when you first took this job. What's your message to fans regarding where you guys will end up in the rankings?
I don't get involved in rankings. I get involved in wins and losses. That's what the fans want. It's just like an NFL. You draft 7 players, and you're hoping that 3 of them are really good players. What's the difference in college football? You get 25 guys. And within 2 years, you're going to figure out who's who. You're only as good as your players, any coach at any level. We went after certain players that fit our DNA, and I think you'll see a transformation of this in the next couple years. That equates to wins. When you get good players, you have a chance to win. And we felt we needed to upgrade some certain positions here that we needed, and we went after it and got it. We're going to be much bigger, much longer, much more powerful as a football team. You can just see, you'll see, when you come to spring ball, you'll see a difference. You'll say, oh, okay, they look different. Now, they look different, but can they play good? That's up to us. We got to coach them. We don't give them talent, but we got to coach them. And when you can coach good players, you got a chance to win.
What was this recruiting process like, being back on the trail?
A lot of fun. A lot of good meals on the road. There was not a bad meal involved. But I think the perspective is this, is that recruiting has changed tremendously. And I was asking Danny, you know, he's been doing this 19 years, and he tells me, head coach, in the last 5 years it's even gotten even more expanded. And, you know, working at ESPN, you see it, coaching the Under Armour game. In the first quarter, kids would go up in the stands, you know, and they'd have the hats on, and I would kind of laugh at it a little bit and go, look at this. This has really become a pageantry deal, you know, and I think a lot of people are out there now that are, quote, unquote, gurus of the scouting world. You know, everyone has an opinion, and they have all these people that are giving you a grade. It's like the NFL, you know, when the draft's over with, everybody rushes to the newspaper. Did I get an A grade? Did I get a B grade? Did I get a C grade? We'll get graded. That's fine. We'll get graded on wins and losses. That's what you get graded on at the end. And so it all looks good first day. So who won the draft? Who won scouting? You know, who's the 5 top teams? I get all that. At the end, how many games can you win? We went after players that we think that can help us and upgrade us. Now we got coaching.
The whole process feel comfortable, familiar with you?
Sure. Once you've been a coach, you've always been a coach. I mean, you're talking about maybe my strongest strength is communication. I don't have a problem going to anyone's home. I know what we're trying to sell here. We're selling a top-tier university here, at the complete student athlete. Graduation, great football program, great division, great conference. So all that is part of the process of selling these young men, and the parents knowing that, you know, when this kid leaves their home, we're invested. That child is invested in us, that we're going to do the right thing by their child. That's a powerful statement. You know, when you can talk to the mom and to the dad and say, look, he's going to be okay, and we're going to make sure he does the right things. You know, you got to complete the student-athlete part of it. He's just not an athlete. He's a student as well. And so we have to meet that. That's our goal as coaches. And I think every coach on my staff believes in the same thing. We want them to leave here better men, to come to this university. We want to win championships, but they got to leave here better men. If they do that, we've done our job.
Well, there's a lot of the top talent here locally decided to go elsewhere outside the state. How do you plan on changing that?
Just keep recruiting them. That's all you can do. And if they decide to go somewhere else, we wish them well. And if they stay in this conference, then that's great. We'll play against them and beat them. I mean, that's how it works. I mean, you can't force anyone to come to your university. All you can do is lay out your plan and say, we'd love for you to be here. We talked about it. We said Arizona, California, Nevada were the places that we wanted to get our athletes from. We got a few from Arizona this year. We got 13 from California. So we're headed in the right direction. We'd like to keep the local kids here. We've told every coach that. Our coaching staff has gone out and visited at least 80 high schools here. So we are in the vicinity. It's up to that kid to make his decision. Does he want to come here? I hear a lot of them say, I want to go to my dream school. Well, why can't your dream school be here? Doesn't have to be anywhere else. And we're going to continue to recruit them hard. That's what we do. And hopefully we can get a lot of the local kids and the local talent to come here. Here again. A lot of them, whether it's here, California, Nevada, Texas, will not fit our DNA. That's not personal. That's just the way we're going to go about doing things. We can't recruit every kid. We're going to recruit the kids that fit our DNA. I told you that when I first took this job. That's not going to change.
This is a question for Danny. I know it remains to be seen if you're going to run a 3-3-5 or a defensive scheme, but loading up on linebackers and defensive backs the way you did in this class, is that maybe having a scheme in mind for spring practice and fall camp?
Definitely. So we've been watching as a staff. We've watched all of our guys that we have currently on the roster. I don't think it's fair to give those guys a true evaluation until you can learn their personality traits and have them out there at practice. I think the best thing that I was taught coaching this deal 20 years ago by Coach Long was you don't have to define your scheme by numbers. I mean, we're based out of a 3-3-5, yes. What you do is you evaluate your team and you put the best 22 on the board, and then you decide whether you're going to be a 3-3-5, a 4-2-5. I think the best thing that we did today was we added speed and size. From evaluating our guys, we've got a bunch of guys up front that didn't play last year on this team that either redshirted for whatever reason, sat out, transferred, or weren't ready, that we think can be really good players. We've added some size and some speed. So through spring ball, we'll keep evaluating, and then we'll put a great scheme together to be successful.
Coach Edwards, you said speed and size is obviously a part of the new DNA.
Yeah.
But when you look at these recruits
Character. Don't tell me about you want to win. I want the guys that hate losing. That's the guys I want. Guys that don't like losing. Everybody wants to win, but are they willing to put in the work? Character is very important to me because you can trust those guys. We want character guys, that this is important to them, that winning the Pac-12 championship is important to them. That's part of it. And, you know, when you've been around football as long as I've been around, it don't take long to figure out who those guys are. I've been around a lot of football. I've forgotten more football than a lot of people in this room can remember. But when it comes to players, I got a pretty good sense of the type of players that we need here and the type of players that I want to play on this football team. That's going to be part of the DNA.
Donnie and/or Danny, going through this year with the early signing period, how did that impact the shape as the class you guys put together?
Go ahead.
Well, I think, you know, initially the first signing class, you know, it was a product of the previous staff and us coming in and having some guys committed. And then I think it gave us time to go back and reassess, reevaluate, search the boards and go back and find players that fit exactly what we're looking for. And those guys in that first class, we felt there's some dynamic players in that group as well. But I think it gave us an opportunity to go back and evaluate it. You know, so I think it was good in a sense because we signed half of our class, and then we could dedicate that time to the rest of the class. And I think it's you know, fair to note that our staff has done a great job in going out and really started the 19s and 20 processes. We've had a number of 19s and 20s on this campus, have extended offers, scholarship offers to many of those kids. So we're way ahead of the curve from where we have been in the last year in terms of the process of evaluating those guys, you know, during this period as well.
The challenges associated with having a smaller pool to draw from, so many kids assigned to which schools.
Yeah, there was a smaller pool, but I think we got the right guys. I mean, we really laser focused on a certain group of guys, and I think the staff that we have was great. You know, if you know, a lot of guys that were from the state of California that have experience and have the relationships with those high school coaches and some of those players already that made a huge difference. And obviously taking Coach Edwards in those homes with those families. And one of the things that I think was very important is I think, you know, us going in those homes and being part of their family and letting them see that we're part of their family and they're part of ours. I think that was very important.
What were the nerves, the emotions like for you watching this unfold today?
Well, you're waiting on an 18-year-old to pick you. That's different. I mean, I've generally been in rooms where you watch the board and said, there's 3 of the guys, we're going to draft one of them. We were waiting on, you know, them to call us. You know, they have their phones. I'm just sitting and saying, they called us yet? No. Got in there at 6:30 this morning. We've been in there, just walked in here, right? You wait all day. Watch the guys on television. I was on ESPN a couple times and on the radio show talking. What are you doing? I said, I'm just waiting like you guys. Got to wait for them to call you, you know. And most of these kids now, because it's become an event, and this is why we didn't announce some of the guys. We knew who we were going to get. They sent the paperwork in, but they wanted to be announced at their school. So rather than to take their day away from them, we just held it in check. We didn't let it leak out and said, hey, you go to school and you do your deal. But they had already signed this morning. We just didn't tell anybody because we promised the kids, you can go to your school and make the announcement. You got to keep your word in life. We said that when we walked in these families' homes, when I talked to their moms and dads, they said, this is what they want to do. You got my word. We won't say a word. And to our credit, our staff, no one said anything. No one tweeted out anything. We just sat there and just waited. And now it comes to fruition. We signed the 11 guys we needed to get.
Now what's back in the door in California? Now what's back in the door in California? How important is it for some of those guys to come in and make an impact at some point within the next 2 years to make sure that people in California see them succeed?
Well, I think it's, you know, we've evaluated well. Now it's to get him on campus and let our coaches coach him. I think that's the key. Obviously, we were going to put the best 11 on the field on all 3 phases of the football. So I think that, you know, Coach Edwards has told every single parent and every single player in our program he's going to play the best 11, whoever those best 11 are, to give us the best chance to win a football game in that stadium. So it's important, but we got a lot of California guys on this roster. So I'm confident with the guys we've signed. And obviously they got to come in and do the work and prove themselves all over again. But I feel very confident with that. And I think we've laid the groundwork, and the groundwork in California has been laid from our coaching staff, and we'll continue to saturate that area along with the state.
Whether it was sitting in those recruiting meetings, evaluating film, talking to players, or walking in the living rooms, what did you want your role to be defined as in staff?
Well, sitting in the meeting rooms, I thought it was very important that when we reviewed the tape of a player, that we all understood the DNA that went along with the player in the position, that all the coaches knew that. Because what happens to you when you scout, and I'm a former scout. I came to the National Football League as a scout. Before I even became a coach, I was a scout. And what you have to learn is this. It's easy when you coach a position to know what your player looks like. Sometimes it's more difficult to know the position of what another coach likes. And so when you get on the road, let's just say you're the linebacker coach, but you have a receiver that's a talented player. You kind of need to know the DNA of that guy and what he looks like and how he fits this program. So with the receiver coach being in there, everyone can have a conversation about a player. We all sit in there, we all have our say, and at the end we make a decision. Do we offer this guy? Do we recruit this guy? Where is he at? And I thought that was a process that hadn't been done here. And for a lot of these coaches that have been on different staffs, probably hadn't been done. But we decided to do it that way. So we brought some new ideas to the table, because what we want to do is this, no different than the draft. When you go into recruiting and you recruit 25 players, you want to look at it and say 90% of the time we were right. Well, how do you do that? Everyone's got to be on the same page. Everyone has to have the same eyes when they look at a player, whether it's an offensive lineman, whether it's a wide receiver, whether it's a quarterback. We all have to be on the same page, because when you go out collectively and you go to your different areas of the country, you go to California, you got a different place in California you go to, in Nevada, here in Arizona, you got to know what a player looks like and knows, okay, I'm the linebacker coach, but I'm watching the wide receiver. He fits. He might not fit. It's okay. Nothing personal on the player, just doesn't fit. That's how the draft works too. If you look at the NFL draft, there are certain teams that are going to draft a certain type of player. There's enough of them to go around for everybody. There's good players everywhere. But you have to be very diligent at your work, and you have to take every stone and turn it over. There's going to be no stone left turned that we don't turn over. We're going to turn them off. And we're going to figure out the guys that fit what we want. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I think they like me coming in there too, to be quite honest.
Give Coach credit. He was unbelievable in the homes. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and he was very instrumental in all of the kids that we signed. And you really got to give Coach credit, because on a coaching change, there's a lot of uneasiness. Okay, Coach took the job. There's commitments. He took the job before the signing day. Coach had every opportunity to say, you know what, I'm gonna start with a clean slate. We try to recruit these kids and let them understand you should recruit yourself to the university. Don't attach yourself to a coach. If football wasn't involved, would you still want to be at Arizona State? Coach gave those guys, he honored their commitment, which is awesome. I mean, that's a great deal. All those guys were already Sun Devils. They had decided that this is where they wanted to be. Coach Edwards takes the job. They still want to be Sun Devils. Those are the kind of guys you want. And then we get the opportunity to recruit the next 10. He's all over the place. He's flying to California. He's flying to Texas. He's flying everywhere. And, I mean, this man gets up at 4:30 in the morning, works out, and he at 10 o'clock at night, we're leaving the house, and he's still dancing with the families and having a great time. He was unbelievable. So give Coach credit for this class, because he did a great job.
If you had a chance to look at some of those commitment videos, I was just wondering what's your reaction was to some of the...
Well, we're going to judge them. And I told them when I left their homes, I said, I want to get it on video. So when we go up to Camp Cush, I call it Camp Cush. You guys call it, I call it Camp Cush. That's where we're going, to Camp Cush. When we go up there, all the guys that signed have videos. We're going to review them. The guy's going to stand up front. We're going to put his video up there. We're going to thumbs up, thumbs down. Who has the best one? We're going to do that one night for the players. It'll be kind of interesting. So that works out. Video?
He would have had a great one. It would have been awesome.
Didn't have any video. They were recruiting me. I knew where I was going in the 10th grade. Didn't take long for me to figure out where I was going. You know, it was real simple. I knew where I was going. I wanted to play in the Pac-8. And the only reason I didn't come here was because I wanted to play in the Pac-8. Or if not, this was my second choice. With Coach Cush being here, I was either going to go to Cal or I was coming here. Real simple. So I ended up coming here anyway. How about that? Worked out okay for me.